de Lizi te responde, retos femeninos, de este podcast maravilloso, de todo lo que estamos haciendo para compartirte lo último que hay. Lo último que hay en tecnología, más ciencia, medicina, espiritualidad, prácticas muy antiguas que hoy, todavía no, Gaby, de chance de platicar de este tema antes de que le demos la bienvenida a nuestro súper invitado de hoy, pero les estoy platicando de qué estoy hablando. Estoy hablando de que hoy en día existe la posibilidad de poder transformar nuestra vida y de transformar nuestro cerebro. Y es increíble porque miren, ustedes saben perfectamente bien que yo no hablo de nada que no haya probado. ¿Y por qué hoy vamos a hablar de Brain Tap con el doctor Patrick Porter? Porque Brain Tap está considerado una de las tecnologías más sofisticadas, pero al mismo tiempo más al alcance de todos nosotros. ¿Para qué? Pues para reprogramar nuestro cerebro, porque finalmente la mayoría de la gente funciona con el 5% de su cerebro consciente sin saber que el otro 95%, que es tu cerebro inconsciente, es el que está tomando las decisiones por ti. Así que Brain Tap, que es esto, ahorita se los platico y me lo pongo y es una chulada, fue creado y diseñado por el doctor Patrick Porter. Saludos a todos, díganme de dónde se están uniendo, Paloma, Albanú, Lalo, Julio César. Me da mucho gusto poder compartir con todos ustedes, pues un hombre maravilloso, un gran maestro, un ser humano, ahora sí, que se una a Dr. Patrick Porter. La entrevista va a ser en inglés, porque ya casi aprende español a través de Brain Tap, pero mientras que el Dr. Porter, where are you? Yo creo que está antes. Pero mientras el Dr. Patrick Porter se conecta, que no sabemos dónde está el Dr. Patrick Porter. Ahorita aparece. Mientras tanto les voy a platicar este tema porque es súper, súper importante. Si quieres, Gaby, checa por fin mi teléfono. Gaby, si tengo algún mensajito del Dr. Porter. Bueno, sé que el Dr. Porter está ahorita, no me acuerdo en qué parte de Estados Unidos, porque constantemente se la pasa viajando. Y curiosamente, yo conocí al Dr. Porter, el creador de Brain Tap, el que, permítanme, unas pequeñas interrupciones de la luz. Estamos en diferente horario, pero ahorita vamos a ver si se conecta el Dr. Porter. Entonces, bueno, lo que les quiero decir, Dr. Porter, no, todavía no contesta. Bueno, sí les quiero platicar en lo que el Dr. Porter se nos aparece, porque sé que está en un evento de biohacking, me parece que en Austin, Texas. Bueno, les voy a platicar qué es Brain Tap. Este aparato que ustedes acaban de ver es una tecnología súper avanzada. Es una tecnología, lo voy a leer porque está bastante complicado. Es un sistema de entrenamiento mental que utiliza auriculares, lo que les acabo de enseñar, y gafas con luces LED, y son luces infrarrojas y azules. Ahorita se los voy a prender para que lo vean. Y entonces a esto le agregan sonidos muy relajantes, muy especiales, que nos ayudan a poder entrar en ciertos estados mentales que son necesarios en diferentes momentos del día. ¿A qué me refiero? Por ejemplo, tú no quieres a la hora de dormir estar súper acelerado o que tu cerebro esté súper acelerado, porque no te vas a poder quedar dormido o no vas a poder tener un sueño verdaderamente reparador. Entonces, es importante que nosotros entrenemos nuestro cerebro para poder entrar en estos estados, así como tú quieres un estado delta profundo, para dormir y que sea un sueño reparador y que ese sueño reparador regenere tu cuerpo. Bueno, no lo quieres a las 8 de la mañana cuando estás en una reunión importante. Entonces, imagínate que a través de esta tecnología, con todo lo que les acabo de decir, hemos descubierto, yo no, el doctor Patrick Porter, pero yo después de usar esto, yo empecé a usar Brain Tap cuando conocí al doctor Porter. Porter, we're waiting for you. There you are. You have to ask, yay, hopefully. You have to ask to enter the live, Dr. Porter. Well, esta entrevista va a ser en inglés. La próxima.
I'm sorry, I'm here at an event and they kind of took me away. So.
Dr. Patrick Porter, I've been like leading this conversation when you're the founder and inventor of this amazing technology. But I was telling all our friends in the Spanish-speaking country that are
awesome
with us in this community, I was telling them about Brain Tap and about you.
Yeah, let me put in my earbuds here, so it's kind of noisy here.
Of course, while you do that,
yes.
Yo les voy a contar unos de los beneficios.
Here we go.
Tiene y que provoca. Yo lo llevo usando aproximadamente 4 meses. Yo lo uso 2 veces al día. Lo ideal es usarlo en la mañana, en la tarde y en la noche, pero de verdad con 2 veces al día yo me he sentido muchísimo mejor de todo, pero de todo hablo de todo. Hablo de sentirme mucho más clara, mucho más enfocada, mucho más serena, porque nuestra mente consciente, que solo el 5%, es la que te hace todas las trampas mentales, accesa a tu subconsciente. Y eso es lo que vamos a hablar el día de hoy con mi querido amigo, el doctor Dr. Patrick Porter, founder, creator of Brain Tap. How are you, Patrick?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Yeah. Something?
Yeah, that was great.
How was it?
Yeah.
How was it?
How was the event? Yeah, it's doing great. I mean, you can kind of see.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I'm sitting off to the side. There's no real place for me to go. So here we are.
You're exactly where you have to be. And thanks with all the things you're doing at the same time. Thanks that you brain tap all day and you're a creator, right? Yeah. I'm going to tell everybody that's with us in this show, and it's going to be translated when it goes up in Retos Femeninos, but I need to tell you and our friends, because I can barely speak to Dr. Porter because he's like in one plane, the other plane. Cynthia's doing good, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yay, good, thank God. So he's really busy, but it's amazing that he has all this energy, you know, and I have this terrible, I'm kidding, of asking him to train me. Oh my God, it was like this incredible fast brain machine that thought that I didn't even use Brain Tap like for a week, I guess. Here's Dr. Patrick Porter drilling in my brain like if I were a brain expert. But you have done so much for me that I want to start the show and welcome you to the show, thanking you and thanking Brain Tap, because I really think it works.
Yes.
And I love it.
That's great.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, we appreciate what you're doing and getting this out to the Spanish-speaking world. That's awesome.
Oh my God. I want everybody that speaks Spanish to have the possibility to use Brain Tap, to understand Brain Tap, and that's what you're going to talk to us about. Mm-hmm. But there is a mission, right, Patrick? Yeah. Why don't you tell us first about the mission? Why don't you tell us a little bit of how did you come to develop this amazing technology and also all the benefits? Many people might be asking us questions.
Yeah.
And they do. I hope they do.
Yeah. Yeah. The biggest benefits as we start off first is it calms down your nervous system or gets rid of your stress and anxiety and helps you to sleep. I think that's the main thing people find it does, but it does far more than that. It helps your cognition or your ability to think, sleep, and perform. So anything that you want to do when your brain's relaxed and it has energy, we just do everything a little bit better. So think of all the things that you want to improve about yourself. And what would happen if you took stress out of the equation? That's when Brain Tap comes in. And I invented it with the fact it was quite a while ago, back in the 80s, when I was working in a clinic and I had people coming in for pain and they couldn't get rid of their pain. So Brain Tap helps to downregulate pain, because the more stress you're under, the higher your pain is. So if you want to get rid of pain, you got to get rid of stress first, and then the pain will subside. So we work in that area, but now it goes on to, if you want to accelerate your learning, like if you're in school right now or you have children in school, we can help them. If you're getting up there in age and you're worried about dementia or Alzheimer's, we have a study that shows that we help people get off the dementia scale within 6 weeks by doing something called neuroplasticity. So when you think of neuroplasticity, think of it as your brain's capacity to work. So how much energy do you have in your brain? If you find that when you get home at night after the day, you just want to pass out because a lot of people actually use the saying, I'm brain dead, they can't do anymore. The reality is that you can use up the energy, and that's why we sleep, to recharge that energy. But if we have energy when we go to sleep, the correct energy, calming energy, we can sleep better and wake up more recharged and rested. So, and I, been doing this for years, and it just seems like every year somebody else comes out with another way that Brain Tap can be used, because because your brain's the focal point of all of our lives' activities. So how are we using our brain is key.
An example. Let's put an example. A typical example. Two typical examples.
Okay.
A businessman. A man that works as a leader in his space, but he's also the leader at home. Like, he feels he has to be Superman, an overachiever that is so stressed, because I work with them. I'm their coach. And it happens to be that I can talk to you about this because that's what it happens. And they have to be stoic. I don't know if you say that in English, but super put together. But internally, they start getting sick and they have symptoms. Obviously, they start having problems with their marriage or their children. And also, like, let's think of a housewife that has small children or is dealing with the house plus the children plus the husband.
Right.
I mean, you guys sometimes,
right.
We need to put some guys in Brain Tap. No, but really, tell us all the people that can benefit, because you already said a few things, but it's so important that businessmen use it, that kids in school use it, that moms and that are stressed and are going to overreact with their children use it. Even if you want to be a better human being or feel better, that's why I'm using it.
Yeah, I think everyone would agree that when you're less stressed, you treat people better, you make better responses, you basically make better decisions. There's a test, as a psychologist, that when people are stressed out, they tell them don't make major life decisions.
Yeah.
But it seems like today everything's a major life decision. So, if we waited till we didn't have any stress, we'd make no decisions at all. So it's one of those, I tell people, it's like brain prep. Like, every day you're going out there making decisions, making relationships, whatever you're doing. And if we can calm down our brain and start thinking better, because we're not so much stress in our lives. So I think, we tell people you can be as little as 4 years old working with kids who either are bedwetters and things like that. We can help them to people.
Kids that are a little bit hyperactive, like little kids that you say, oh my God, how to put him to sleep? Can you put the device?
Oh yeah. One of the reasons, like, especially with the autistic population, we have Joquita Handy, who's out of Orange County, California. She said parents won't leave her office without buying one after they see their kid, that was hyperactive and bouncing off the walls, just melt into the cushions and relax. And they're going, I never thought my kid would do that. In fact, a lot of parents go, there's no way I can get my kid to listen to it. But the nice thing is that kids ask for this. They love it, because kids get stressed out too. They just don't know how to articulate it. You know, like adults, sometimes adults don't know how to articulate it. They get angry, they get upset, they turn to drugs and alcohol to deal with it. And this is a drug-free solution that can help you to mitigate the pain and suffering that happens because of stress.
You're saying something so important, no? So Brain Tap, let me tell you guys, because Patrick hasn't said it yet, but it has a lot of programs. It has a lot of different things. The app, which is this one, it's like you can, it's very interesting, and there's going to be like very interesting changes in the app.
Right.
I have a promise you're made. And I need to tell you a surprise.
Okay.
I'm going to send, probably today, max tomorrow, my first, because you trained me, Dr. Porter.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, yeah, because Dr. Porter asked me since Dr. Fab, which is our amazing friend, which, what a beautiful event you organized at the Breakers.
Yep.
We met again. But Dr. Fab introduced me to Dr. Porter, and Dr. Porter asked me to be the voice of Spanish for Brain Tap, and Dr. Fab. So I was so excited. And that's what we're doing, but since I was like insecure about my abilities and capacities, and this was like a lot to, at that moment to put through, I trained with Patrick, and then I started translating his sessions because he wants to open the world to Brain Tap, because you want to reach 1 billion brains. How many Spanish-speaking brains do we have in the world?
Right.
But the truth is, this goes in every language, in any brain, and you can, even if you don't know English, you can use it because your subconscious mind, right, Dr. Patrick Porter? So I'm sending you my first. It's called Gratitude. Powerful reprogramming night session.
Yeah.
And it lasts 8 hours. And it's, I hope you like it.
Yeah.
And
all right. I'm sure I will. I'm sure I will.
Okay, you'll give me feedback. Okay, so why don't we talk to our friends a little bit, Dr. Porter, about, let's touch, and then we go back to the technology, because maybe they're saying, aha, yeah, and I am Batman too. No, really, it works, because it has a very interesting technology. That's important to say. But also, Patrick, I would like you to share a little bit about your story. That would be super interesting, and about, you know, how you got into this, because that is like, when this,
Yeah, my dad got interested in something called the Silva method, which was Jose Silva in Laredo, Texas, and he trained my dad. So I grew up doing this Silva process. So, you know, it helped me because I was a struggling student. I was one of the kids they said wasn't very smart. That I was always in the special learning, you know, and there were 6 of us, and we're still friends today on Facebook because we were basically in the same classes for 4 years, and you know, we were the dumb kids or whatever. And none of us are dumb kids, you know, it's not true at all. But what happened was my dad taught me to go to level, is what they call it, with something called the Silva sound, which is very similar to our algorithm, although we kind of went on to something else because we introduced light. Back then there was no LEDs, so we couldn't do the light part of it. So what I added to the equation was light, and then I also added in language, because as we're going through it, I made my first audio recording when I was 12 years old, simply because I couldn't listen to my dad. Before my dad got help, he used a lot of 4-letter words, but none of them were love. So I had to do something different. But he helped me to create it. He helped me set up my little mic on my recorder, on my little tape recorder. And every month I would make my affirmation sessions, and I would listen to those when I went to bed and when I woke up in the morning, and it changed my life.
He told you to record them.
Yes.
He suggested record it with voice.
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So, I mean, the main thing is that they say that we all have about 60,000 words we say to ourselves every day, and 80% of them are negative. So we need to change that. So we need to have more positive, like your session, you're talking about having more gratitude. having more love, just being present instead of looking for the scarcity and the fear. And that's what I had to do, because I really believed when growing up that God had one purpose, that was to make my life miserable. Or at least that's what I thought as a kid. And of course that wasn't true, but that's what I thought. And then as soon as
and you had a difficult childhood.
Yeah.
Your dad and my dad had a horrible sickness. It's called alcoholism, and it sometimes, I don't know, it's like the other part of the person, it wasn't the soul of your dad or mine. It was just what they were able to do, right? So I love your exercise. You need to share this exercise of the stop.
Yeah.
And with our friends.
Yeah. So one of the sessions, there's a lot of different ways to do this, but what I found is we call it the stop sign technique, because most people have seen stop signs. So it makes sense, and we know to stop. So if you catch yourself on one of these negative thought programs or saying negative things to yourself, then what you want to do is you want to say the word stop, and then repeat, stop giving it energy, time, or space in your mind. Your mind space is sacred. I mean, this is your space. There should be no limits to the possibilities and what you can do there. And then immediately think of 3 ways you would like that situation to go that's positive. And it doesn't have to be true. It just has to be something you think about, because there's a saying, what you think about, you bring about. So the more we think about these things, the more we open up infinite possibilities of having these things. And what I found was and this is a technique my dad taught me. So once I started doing that, eventually my brain stopped producing those negative thoughts consistently, which is really, really powerful.
You're talking about something that's very important, Dr. Patrick Porter. I use this 2 times a day, and sometimes 3. And sometimes when I've had one of those days, because I had another relapse in the SIBO thing, not cool, but this has helped me so much too, and the live wave patch and things that I'm doing. But people have to be consistent, I believe, Dr. Porter, in life, because we're talking that there's this amazing other brain. It's there in all of us.
Right.
I mean, I understand that if it's the first time that you hear this crazy thing that I'm saying, but it's true. And even so many years ago, método siga de control mental. It's like, whoa. But you don't really even have to feel it. Well, that's me.
Right.
But the truth is that when you access that other brain, that subconscious part, you actually become, true or not, a little bit like when unstoppable. Like you train your unconscious. Well, it's there. You access your subconscious brain without the stress, and then you, with your voice and many other teachers and masters, because we didn't have breath sources and sessions and things, super cool. So, and then you send an information that goes directly to subconscious, and you start making changes with the other people who start noticing you're acting
right.
better.
I mean, most people think their conscious mind runs the show, but the reality is that 95% of who we show up as is our subconscious, which means all of our patterns, all of our learned lessons from brothers, teachers, preachers, teachers, all those people that, and some are good. I mean, you don't want to stop some of them, but the problem is that if you're not getting the results you want in your life, you have to look toward the subconscious, because the conscious mind is doing the best thing it can, but the subconscious can affect a real change, which means you want a change that happens without your conscious awareness. You don't want to have to force yourself to change. I call it Tai Chi for the mind. You want to work with the energy, not against the energy. Too many people get up in the morning and they fight with themselves. Like, I don't want to eat that. I want to eat this. I don't want to drink that. I want to drink that. And it's just constantly fighting with themselves. And the reality is that no one wins in that battle, because that subconscious part of your mind's just a 4th grader. So if you think about an elementary school student and they let it run the show, but you can calm your mind with Brain Tap, get in touch with that part of your subconscious and start to deliver information, so then it plays back the information you want instead of what you've been getting. the whole thing is what you want. And then when you're in these altered states, if you will, these relaxation states, that's when your mind is open to change. When you're busy doing your busy work and you're doing everything you need to do your life, you're basically, your training mind is put into abeyance or put aside. So that brain's there, but it's just reacting. We need to interact with that part of your brain so that you can open up your mind and get some real physical, mental, and emotional results happening.
Okay, let's talk about the emotional results. What about people that have a lot of trouble managing? Let me ask you the weirdest question in the world.
Okay.
How can brain tap technology help in love?
Well, if you think about who you show up as, we draw to ourselves like metal attracts, like a magnet attracts to metal, right? So there's somebody out there for everybody. And if you're not the right energy to meet that person, it's actually like the opposite pulls of a magnet. It repels them. But as soon as you become that person, and I love it, one of my mentors told me, become the person you want to be with, and that person will be with you. So what it does is...
Repeat that phrase, please repeat it.
Yeah. When you become the person you want to be with, that person will be with you. So you'll attract them into your life. They'll just show up. And they might be around you right now, but you don't even see them. It's like, we call it a stigmata in psychology, where you have this blind spot. They could even be there, but you're blind to that because maybe you've set rules around what that is, and this is the way it is,
or how
it has to be. But when you start to, we're human beings, not human becomings. So we have to be that person. So you get up every morning and there's a saying, as if, right? So you start to pretend as if. What would your life be like? And that's why they say, no one can stop a person who's in love with themselves, not being egotistical or, being, but just, you don't have to tell anybody else about it. But when you look in the mirror, you should be able to say, wow, you look good, but don't say that out loud because people might not believe it. But you got to have that. You got to have that inside. Yeah. Right.
No, it's really cool, but because I think many people say and do exactly the opposite without knowing. I did it for practically all my conscious life. Well, really, maybe up to, my story of long COVID story, whatever story. But the truth is, all my life I had battled with the way I talk to myself, with the way I treat myself. And I don't think it's only me. At least I'm being honest enough to say it, but like, you're horrible, you're dumb, you're not able. And you know what? I really acknowledge that I was repeating unconsciously a script that definitely was there, but not because my dad was a mean person, but he thought that just like being, like telling me you have to do and do this and you be the best. And it was like, oh my God, I was so stressed trying to be that all the time. Mm-hmm. And mommy dying, so no real point of reference. Right. Angels, right?
That's it.
So people talk back to themselves, Dr. Patrick Porter, and brain tap help change that conversation. So automatically, instead of looking at yourself in the mirror and again, it's like, hey, today your chair is a little bit less awful, which is good enough.
Right. I mean, there's a saying that if people knew how they talk to themselves, they would not. I mean, if their friends talk to them like that, they wouldn't have any friends, right? They'd get new friends. But because it's their internal voice, they think it's all right. And in negative programming, I was brought up Catholic, so that was.
You were brought up what? Remember you
Catholic. Yeah. So I was brought up Catholic, and so in the Catholic faith, you're always told what not to do and how you're a sinner and that you're never good enough and that you've got to do all these penances. But I believe there's original grace, that we have original grace in who we are.
Oh, yeah.
So
talk about this?
Yeah. So, obviously, like the Bible says, all have fallen short of the glory of God, but we just have to be ourselves. We don't have to be the big G. we can be our own source of inspiration and inspire our family, our friends, our coworkers, because we want to be that gainer in our life. You know, there's people in our lives that are gainers, and there's people that are what we call drainers, you know, that drain our energy. And what Brain Tap does, it helps you to increase your energy so you can be one of those gainers. You know, so many people need a hand up. You know, they're not looking for a handout. They're looking for inspiration. And that's why the billion brains, really. I mean, if we could get 1 billion people working on themselves, realizing that when I change myself, I'm actually changing my family, because by example, they're going to change.
And my company, and
yeah.
my society, community, and country, and the universe.
Right.
World,
right.
Really.
So,
yeah.
so as you think about it, and it's not, and for me, we get the benefit, but we also get to share that with the world, because a lot of people don't even know they're in pain. They're running around and they have all this stress and all this pain, and they feel like they have to have it. Well, I'm here to tell you, you don't have to have all that pain. You don't have to have all that suffering. That you can start today to offload some of that. It's emotional suffering. When we talked about emotions, emotions are energy in motion. So when we think about, if you're think of all negative emotions, there's no breath. That's why we partner with Breath Source, by the way, because Breath Source teaches people how to breathe. And every Brain Tap session, we're teaching people how to breathe, because people have lost this fundamental, we need this fundamental thing to get oxygen, right? To get air. And some people will say there's actually pranic energy or God energy in the breath that we're breathing. And I believe there's something to that, because how long can we go without a breath? Not very long, right? We can go for days without water and weeks without food, but we can only go minutes without air. And a lot of people, if they really watch themselves today after listening to this, if you catch yourself going, you know, like you forgot to breathe, that tells you need to train yourself to breathe through those difficult situations, and they won't be so difficult. You know, they won't hang out in your physical body anymore. You know, our brain is designed to handle those situations. Our body is not. So when we hold on to all that negative emotion, it burns up our body like running 100 watts through a 50-watt light bulb. You know, we need to treat our body with respect and let our mind do the thinking, our brain do the thinking, not our body. You know, that's the key.
And it's a lesson to learn, because I learned it backwards. That's why, obviously, I got sick for such a long time. It's because the body was screaming, do something different. And maybe if you're hearing us today in this program, maybe sometimes you feel the same way, and you feel that, you know, that I don't know, that you can't change anything outside. And that's really frustrating, right?
Right.
But it's the truth. So maybe it's time to go inside and don't be scared, because Brain Tap, the only thing it does is like make something that has been known forever, like meditation, suggestion, gratitude affirmations, to sleep 8 hours, sleep, in English and Spanish. It's like, why don't you give yourself a break and use something that's just going to make the process faster? Because people when they don't see results like very fast, I'm very critical 1 and 2.
Right.
I'm not. Patience is not one of my virtues. I view have noticed, Dr. Porter.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm working on it.
Yeah, I tell people all the time that you know, could you imagine going and watching a movie where the actors or actresses never rehearsed? I mean, that'd be pretty crazy, right? When you got on television and were performing, you rehearsed, right? You had a script, you worked with your producers. Then when the cameras came on, you didn't just wing it, you planned it. Well, you can do that with Brain Tap. You can plan your life in a way that it's not just happening to you like you're a ping pong ball, you know, just being bounced around from place to place. You can predict your future by, you know, reviewing it in your mind, organizing it through your thoughts, and then activating it through your actions. So this is important. Key things.
In a loving, healing, very quick way.
Yes.
Because most of us were brought up not only because of the religious no, but just because self-esteem is something pretty hard to construct, you know?
Right.
And it's amazing that today you can better your self-esteem with Brain Tap. I'm telling you the truth. Because first I was very aseptic. But you know what? Dr. Patrick Porter said something, which when Dr. Fat Mancini, which we sent a huge kiss to, it's amazing, amazing mentor of many CEOs, many amazing people. And we were talking, and I said, how can somebody go on stage and like talk conference and bring the people? I was there. I bring the people. I giving seminars around, and they would say,
right.
Really good. And when we started talking afterwards, you told me, I don't worry about, it's like leaders that have to give numbers, the month numbers. They stand up and they get super freaked out because they hate to talk in front of people, right? Brain Tap,
Right.
you didn't even work on what you said. You stood there and gave one of the best conferences I've ever heard, Patrick Porter. How did that happen?
Thank you.
Training? No, I mean, I'm
Right.
an expert a little bit, I think, in this. And you're really good. And you told me, I told you, or is it that, no, you told me to stand up. And you know what I felt that made the difference in your conference? Is that many speakers are thinking of, I don't know what they're thinking about, but they're not there. And I believe something that Brain Tap helps us do is to stay in the present moment, where the magic happens, where the light comes, but we're always moving. So what I felt in your conference was you were so there, like you said, that we all started to get closer. Because we're energy, Dr. Porter.
Right.
And I believe people will also get closer to people that sort of are waving in something a little bit different, right?
Right. Yeah, I think when people are relaxed and calm and they have that self-respect or whatever about themselves, they have more inviting energy. And when you're stressed out, it's almost like a porcupine, or a cactus, where you don't realize it, but it's people feel that, like
We become horrible versions of ourselves
right.
in that state.
Yeah.
Because we say pissy things, or we it's not the nice version. And you know what? It is what it is, but we just can't walk around life like pissing and that's asking God to help us change. I truly believe that it's hard, it's painful a little bit to acknowledge that I believe we come here to learn in a beautiful way, not in a sick way, hard work way, that way, no. But to be more conscious and to use this amazing thing that's our body in this life that we have. But you were talking about God, right, and spirituality, and you think you can share when you have this very special moment, when maybe that's why the mission is to change 1 billion brains?
Well, there's actually a study done by the Maharishi where he actually had meditators go to Washington, D.C. and meditate for peace. And they thought he was crazy. They said there's no way it would take a snowstorm to stop the crime in Washington, D.C. And what they did is they had verifiable proof, and they had 43 other studies after this that proved it, that when these meditators were focusing on peace and harmony and in the city, crime went down. And they can't explain it. But if you think about it, the reason I think 1 billion brains is that we need to do this in our homes. Like if you think you can't fight force against force. When Gandhi was asked if he would attend a war rally, he said no. He said, but if you have a peace rally, I'll be there. Because you can't fight force against force. If you don't like your politicians, you don't like your leaders, that's okay. Pray for them, because it's better to pray for them and send them healing energy and change their mindset, because we're not these bodies. When you die, everybody believes at a funeral that person went somewhere better, right? I've never been to a funeral where they said, oh, well, they're gone. even the most staunch atheist, that I've says, they're somewhere doing something, because they intuitively, we know we don't end. It's a law of thermodynamics. Energy doesn't die, it just transforms. So we become something different. But we can transform here. We don't have to die to do that. We can bring in that energy. We can bring in that higher principles that we have. When you think about life as that there's a finite amount, like I got to take from you because you have something I want, then that really takes from me, because we're really a whole. We're together in this. There's no separation. So I think once we get people, and that's what happens when you start to get into these different brainwave states, and we start to wake up really and realize that there's no reason to have a war. There's no reason for me to have what you have, because if you have it, I already have it, and I can enjoy you having that, and we can enjoy our time together. I don't have to possess you. You understand what I'm saying? There can be, and this is a big step for humanity, but I think it's going to happen over the next 10 to 15 years. We're going to see a big change in the way things are happening, because think about it, the world is so different now, and we have the technology in our hands with our phones that we can choose the music we want to listen to. We can choose the programming we want to be entertained by. We can choose the books that we read. If you just think even 100 years ago, you would have to go to a library to get the books you'd read. You'd have to go to a therapist to get your brain trained. You'd have to go to, maybe your church to feel. Yes. Right. So yeah. So now we're basically, the world is becoming smaller, because like even us talking here, you're in Mexico City. I'm here in Austin, Texas. We're having this conversation, and I do have
and people all around the world.
Yes.
And it's stays, so many people can share it. And
right. So I mean, when we start thinking about our impact, every person has an impact. They call it proximity to power. So you have the power to change yourself, but by making that change, people who look up to you, that you're their hero or whatever, they're going to change because you did. And don't worry if you don't know they're looking, because people are looking at you. We all have we're all mentoring people, even though we might not be officially doing that or getting paid for it. There are people or friends that call you up and say, hey, I need some advice. I need this. And, you might be that calm person right now, but then when you're off the phone, you have that anxiety. That's when you got to take care of yourself. So I always tell people, it's like the airlines, like they say, make sure the mask goes on yourself first before you help that person sitting next to you. Yeah. So, and I still do brain tap once or twice a day, and I've been doing it since the 80s. And if I can do it 3 times a day, I do, so yeah. just like you do. When I'm here at this event, which I have to go speak in 9 minutes, so we got to end this call, unfortunately.
I just want to make clear to our friends that this is the brain, that this is amazing. And we'll have to leave something, I'll download something, or Aaron's, whatever, mail, whatever. But the app, maybe while they don't have the brain tap, why don't you talk a little bit about this app? 1 minute. Or,
yeah. You can download the app right now. If you go to, you should share the link, Dr. Lizi. So your link. So if you have it, if not, just to go to braintap.com. It's a 14-day.
In the team, somebody's there.
Right.
Tell somebody to send me the link right now, before you go on stage, and I'll send you guys the link.
Right.
I'll send you a link that I am sure Aaron will solve in 5 minutes. If you want the machine, and the other one is if you want to download the app. This is the app. Let me check, see if you can see it. It's this little. This is the app. You talk about it, Patrick. It's amazing. This one.
Yeah. So that little app with the brain on it. If you just put in brain tap, brain fitness app, and then you can download it, and you have 14 days to like it or not. At the end of 14 days, if you like it, it'll charge you. If not, you can go in and cancel your subscription, because we only want people that are getting value from it. So, and we have over 2,000 sessions. And Dr. Lizi has sessions on there in Spanish, and we're adding more all the time. So, get on there. We have over 600 sessions that are just music only. So if you want to train your brain and and do it. So you don't have to worry about if they're English or Spanish or Chinese or whatever language you're wanting to listen to. We're trying to get of course, all of the sessions in all the different languages. But we have our average person, Dr. Lizi, listens 28 times a month. So they must find some value in it. So whether they're listening in the morning to, wake up their brain and get ready for a great day, or rebooting their brain in the middle of the day, or using it to go to sleep at night, there's different sessions for different times. And there's also different reasons for listening. So if you want to improve your sports performance, or if you want to improve your speaking, like you're talking about, if somebody's having to do a lecture, we have ones for rehearsing your lecture. We have ones for stress-free childbirth.
Dentists that can use it in the office. Or, for example, if you want somebody that you're working with them to create the space. Patrick, you need to go talk. Please send somebody send me the things to my WhatsApp. I thank you. I bless you. Take care. See you soon.
All right. Thank you. Talk soon.
Bye.
Okay, I better get up on stage. Okay,
Good
bye.
luck.
Yep, bye.
Take care. Dazzle them like always. Bye-bye. Thank you. Pues el doctor Patrick Porter ya se nos fue a dar un lecture. Ahorita me van a mandar los links. Siempre es un placer tener la oportunidad de platicar con él. Y me jalas tantito porque les quiero platicar 2 segundos antes de que termine este programa. En español un poquito todo lo que sucedió. Dr. Patrick Porter, súbelo un poquito. Ya está. Oigan, ¿tienen preguntas? Porque estaba yo aquí echándome la plática con el doctor Porter. Me encantaría que si tienen preguntas acerca de lo que estuvimos hablando, de esta cosa tan increíble que se llama Brain Tap y cómo funciona. Y se los digo porque yo soy doctora en psicología. Llevo finalmente muchos años estudiando la mente y el cerebro. Y les voy a decir por qué a mí me pareció tan interesante. I found that the session meant for children. Wow! Life in the dog. I love it. Dice que I found that the sessions meant for the children were even beneficial for me. Es que lo padre de esto que les decía del app, que ahorita les voy a dejar el link cuando termine el programa, es que hay para diferentes cosas. O sea, tú te puedes meter y hay uno que se llama Kickstart, ¿no? Y es como para que pues agarres la onda de que esto lo puedes usar en el día para, digamos que, aprovechar una onda cerebral X, ¿no? Que te va a ayudar a estar más enfocado, más alerta, a resolver problemas, bajar el estrés, no andar caminando por la calle, estresando a los demás, porque, ¿no? Entonces te calma, pero te hace mucho más eficiente. Pero tú no quieres ese estado mental, no te vas a dormir, lo que quieres es tú. Y lo que decía Pacho, que es súper importante, y por eso se los voy a decir en español, tenemos que aprender de una manera, bueno, no tenemos, si no quieres no lo hagas, pero cualquier persona que se ha quedado en este programa o que me sigue, estoy segura que de verdad, pues quiere vivir mejor, quiere cambiar algo, piensa que hay algo que puede hacer mejor y que hay un poquito más que hacer en la vida, con su vida. Entonces, pues Brain Tap te puede ayudar para dormir, para enfocarte, para concentrarte, porque lo único que hace es conjuntar la tecnología, que es esta, que es con una que es el que estaba yo enseñando. Si ven, aquí salen lucecitas, y también salen lucecitas por esto que te pones así. Y las sesiones duran, será de 10 a 20 minutos máximo, y las de las mañanas está un poquito más corto porque normalmente no tenemos tiempo, pero hay una en la tarde buenísima también, como para cuando ya estás hasta el queque de todo, te lo pones 10 minutos, y bueno, pues en lo que consigues es son una verdadera maravilla, de verdad, pues prueba el app, no cuesta nada, 14 días, para que te des cuenta de la maravilla. Y bueno, pues ahorita están en español hasta el fondo las que traduje para el doctor Patrick Porter, que a mí me encantó aprenderlo, y ya pues muy pronto van a ver esta que hice bien bonita. Así que yo les deseo que tengan un día lleno de bendiciones, una semana maravillosa, y que Dios los bendiga Mira, y que disfruten muchísimo. Ah, sí, es que hoy toca. Que la pasen muy, pero muy bien. Si este programa les gustó, pues pónganle un corazoncillo por ahí. Y si consideran que le puede servir a alguna persona para poder vivir mejor, o a alguien que a lo mejor siente que nada más quiere estar mejor, o ya le chocó estar deprimido, cansado, triste o mal, pues también compárteselo. Sígueme y suscríbete, porfa, suscríbete a mi canal de YouTube, porque hay un montón de entrevistas increíbles, que algunas de aquí de repente se cortan, así, pero ahí tienes todo. Así que nos vaya muy, pero muy bien.